Okay, you are not going to believe this. There has been a massive shift at one of the biggest football clubs on the planet. Real Madrid just slammed the reset button on their head coach, and trust me, the story of who's out and who's in, it's a wild one.
So here's the headline, plain and simple. Out goes the legendary midfielder Xabi Alonso, and stepping into his shoes, his former teammate, the defensive rock Álvaro Arbeloa. It's a straight swap, one club icon for another.
And yep, the club made it official. But listen, this is so much more than just your average managerial change. This feels like a real changing of the guard. So the big question is, why? Why did this happen? Let's get into the story behind this huge decision.
All right, so first things first, to really get this, we have to look at why this all went down so fast. We need to unpack the very brief and pretty turbulent time that Xabi Alonso was in charge and figure out what exactly went wrong.
Just look at this number. 7 months. That is it. Alonso was only in charge for 34 games. I mean, his era barely even got off the ground before it came to a complete screeching halt.
So, what happened? Well, it wasn't just one thing. The final nail in the coffin was probably that brutal Supercopa loss to their biggest rivals, Barcelona. But under the surface, things were already shaky. The pressure over results was getting intense, and this is the big one. There were reports that he was clashing with some of the players.
So, with Alonso out the door, who do they call? Well, the club didn't have to look very far for his replacement. They turned to a guy who, you could argue, is the club's identity, Álvaro Arbeloa.
So why Arbeloa? It really comes down to this one idea they talk about at the club, Madridista DNA. And what does that even mean? It's not just about being a former player. It's about having this deep, fundamental understanding of the club's culture. Because he literally came up through the entire system, from a kid in the academy to a coach.
And this timeline just shows you how deep his roots go. I mean, his journey starts way back in 2004 with his first-team debut. Then he comes back as a key player in 2009. And then, check this out, in 2020 he starts coaching the under-14s and just steadily works his way up. You can see this appointment has been in the works for a long time.
And you can't question his commitment on the field. 237 appearances for the first team. That is a serious amount of time wearing that famous white shirt, knowing exactly what kind of pressure and expectation comes with it.
But you know, at Real Madrid, it's not just about playing, it's about winning. And Arbeloa's resume, well, it speaks for itself. We're talking 2 Champions Leagues, 2 Copa del Rey titles, a La Liga championship. He knows what it takes to win. He was part of some of the club's most successful teams ever. Okay, so he's got the resume, he's got the DNA, but all that history doesn't guarantee a thing for the future. So what kind of situation is he walking into